Hello and welcome to 4000 and Counting. I am Watty. This is Mark, and we are brought to you by Hurricane e-bikes. Today we have a very, very special guest, Solway Sharks, brand new general manager for their first year in the National League, Mr. Craig Peacock. Peaks, first of all, congratulations, Mr. GM. Love that.
Thanks very much, boys.
And two, we are probably the most pumped out of anyone in the British hockey market because it's something that we talked about for a while. And then we were adamant after the podcast and after the stuff like that with Grubby and Ross and Tomo and everybody else. We were like, yeah, it's happening. And then I get the call to say it's not happening. And then Barry's on my case for like 3 days. What's going on? What's going on? And then the next thing, boom, you guys are a National League team. You're the GM. You've got new owners. Talk us through retiring from hockey. And then I think you were retired for about a fortnight, weren't you? And now you're a GM.
Yeah, it was a whirlwind, actually. Obviously, I'd seen you boys talking about it, and you spoke about it with Martin and Ross Murray and stuff, and it was starting to gain traction. And I think the way that Solway have been for the last few years, just so dominant in that NIHL North one, that they were knocking on the door and something had to happen, and the noise was building and building and building, and then. Yeah, it just all came about really quickly, to be honest. Spud gave me a call saying that he thinks it was going to happen. Um, Obviously, the guys who are the owners of the team now were part of the bid to try and get the Glasgow clan as well. So obviously, I had a relationship with them because they were sponsors of the clan before. So he asked me if I thought they'd be interested in sponsorship or whatever it might be to kind of get involved with Solway and even just advice and help them move into the National League. So I spoke to him, and next thing I know, the owners were down there meeting Martin and Jamie, and then about a week and a half later, all of a sudden, Solway were in the National League, and I was a GM. So,
well, obviously, this isn't, guys and girls. This isn't going to be like a full kind of interview kind of thing, start to front on hockey career, because we want to kind of focus on that. But we will touch on bits throughout his career, and I'm going to start off with the old man. He's a hockey boy. What did he think when you told him, A, first of all, that you were hanging him up, and then B, when you rang him up, it was like, got the job?
yeah. I mean, I don't know how he really felt about me hanging them up. I kind of toyed with it for a couple of years, and I just wanted to say, step away from the Elite League in my own time before, someone doesn't want you back or anything. And I feel like I did everything I wanted to do in the Elite League, and it was like the right time for me. So, they're obviously a bit sad. It's your mum and dad, and they put everything into hockey, and growing up, they sacrificed everything, didn't they? So they're obviously a bit sad they wouldn't get to see me play again. But the fact that, that gave me a call, was, well, I'm actually staying in hockey and I've got a GM job, that, they're buzzing for me. And for me, it's what I've always wanted to do. The coaching side never interested me, but the front office, back room, that was something that was always kind of on my radar. And I was hoping, I could get a job in hockey doing that. There's not many of them in British hockey. So to land this one, I'm pretty happy.
Are you gonna stay in Glasgow? Are you gonna move across to Solway? Are you gonna travel? What's the plan for you? Obviously, you're not too far away over in Glasgow.
Yeah, I'm just going to travel and kind of be down there as and when needed. It's only about an hour and 20 from where I am, so it's not too bad at all. But my fiance, soon to be wife, in a couple of weeks, she's from Glasgow and she's got a job here. So yeah, we'll stay based here, but the traveling's not too bad.
Yeah, I would rather live. I'm sorry, Dumfries folk, but I'd rather live in Glasgow than Dumfries anyway. There's a wee bit more to do, but that could actually be in your guys' benefit. Obviously, when we had the boys on before, they were saying like for the bigger games, they're regularly get 600-700 in. For cup, I think it was against Billingham in the cup. They pulled in maybe an extra 100 on top of that. But with the prospect of going National League on the back of all these championships in the league below, with the new owners, with yourself in there, just with the way that organisation, the club's going, I don't see any reason why you guys can't 200-300 extra and absolutely sell that barn out every week.
Yeah, I mean that's what we want to do, right? We want to make it the hottest ticket in town. That if it's 1,000 our capacity, that there's 1,000 tickets sold every night, and it's impossible to get one, and you get people talking about it. And like you say, they've got that core of fans who are there. So it's how do we find the next 200-300, however many we need to get in to make sure the building's full every night. But it's been a good buzz already, and talking to people around Dumfries, even people who probably haven't gone to watch hockey, they're starting to hear about it a little bit more. So that the excitement's building already in that, and that's the challenge for us, is how do we find those new fans and bring them on board. And I think last year, even speaking to some of the volunteers and fans so far, like when Solway are winning a game 7-0 by the end of the first period, it's why would you?
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's a hard sell. So now, the National League, you're not really going to get that, are you? It's going to be competitive every single night. Where that's why you watch sport, because you don't know what's going to happen. So hopefully, taking them into this league, we'll be able to attract those new fans.
You seem to have a lot of support online as well. I've noticed all the Dumfries news outlets and in Scotland in general pumping your tyres a lot. So that in itself will probably draw in some attention.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Like, obviously, I'm not sure how much media coverage they essentially got before we kind of joined in, but that just goes to add to what the new owners are doing, myself, the people involved in the club, that just generating that noise and putting our name out there, and newspapers, radio, if we get TV, great, whatever it might be, is just do as much as we can to make sure everyone in the area knows about us.
I know you've got new owners, but just promise me one thing. Just let Ross Murray carry on with his social media. Like, he was on the social media last year, like, 2:00 on a Saturday, he'll be on there. He's like, you guys know you got fucking nothing to do. Get down the pub, have a couple of halves, get your gear on, get down to the rink. It's the hottest ticket in town. The bars have got beers, mate. And I was just like, this guy sells tickets. Like, he sells tickets. I love him. He's just like, if I was running the club and you have a player like that, you can see the passion, you can feel the passion. So when he's pumping it up, I can buy into that.
Oh yeah, get on board with that. I'm not putting any restraints on him. He can crack on and do what he wants. He was interviewed. Did you see his interview after he signed with us? The one
what's he done?
It was just his passion, just the way he spoke.
Oh, okay, good.
Just the pure passion and enthusiasm and the excitement that he had for this year. And yeah, if you haven't watched that, go watch that.
Yeah, I'll check that out. I like the fact that you're getting the boys like Trona and all the lads that don't want to be in front of camera. It's like, guess what, lad? You're doing an interview, and then you're chucking them all in there. The social media has been fucking phenomenal. I can't sum it up any better than that. Getting every announcement bang on so far has been unbelievable. It's brung the bar up across the league, I believe. And I said to Mark yesterday, sorry guys if you're listening again, but I think the best club in Scotland for social media, and that's including Dundee, who are phenomenal.
And it's such a big part of it these days, right? And a lot of credit for that goes to the ownership, like John and Dave and Phil. Like, they wanted to push that and be on top of that and make sure that we had that online presence. And they're the ones that are coming up with the ideas for Callum's video that we did in football stadium and things like that. Is brilliant. We got a few more planned up our sleeve for the rest of the summer. So keep your eyes on that. But yeah, social media is such a big part, isn't it? It's huge these days. So why not take advantage of it and make the most of it?
Hopefully Fife are listening to this.
Oh well, yeah. What do you make of the news coming out of Fife? It sounds like Doots and Hutchins are going to take a step back from the coaching. They're going to bring someone in as someone who's played there. I mean, mate, they've been stale for a long time. Obviously, they got their run to the cup final last year. Impressive beating Sheffield to get there, but it's been stale. It's been very samey, and I'm never going into the season going, oh, this might be the year that Fife challenge 4th, 5th, 6th ever. Yeah. Do you think with new coaching and then new eyes on it, there's potential for that to happen there?
Yeah, it's a great hockey town, isn't it? And there's a lot of passionate fans there. And the early days of them being in the elite league, they weren't an easy team to play against. It was a tough atmosphere. They put good teams on the ice, and I had a lot of time for Todd and Hutchie. They were really, really good to me in Fife. So it is hard to see them go. Especially Todd, has been there for probably nearly as long as I've been alive. So he's part of the furniture there. So it's a big change, but it's like you say. Is it the right one? Probably. Bring in some fresh ideas, fresh faces, try and get the fan base back on board and, take a new approach with it. Those two guys, they put in a lot of work behind the scenes that I don't think is appreciated, and I don't think the fans really see as well. So, it's important that they are recognised what they did, because they cared deeply about that club. I could see that for the season that I was there, and they only wanted what's best. So, But yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing that there's going to be a new look coaching team there. Hopefully it does kick them on, because the Elite League needs a strong Fife team.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
You said something there that it kind of triggered a thought. When you're talking about Fife Flyers, I'm thinking of top end Brits, like Kyle Horn when he was there, John Haig. I mean, sorry, so you younger guys are going to be like, who the fuck are these people? Trust me, these were good British boys. Stephen Murphy, like they were producing guys all of the time. If they can get new coaches in with some Brits that actually they're going to give some Brits a run there and really help them improve. And someone, because you look at Dowdy, he's with the Steelers. He's been there for fucking ages. Mark Richardson, been at the Devils for ages. Fife and Clan and teams like that, they need these guys. But you're only going to be able to do that if you develop the 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds to be a 4 or 5 year vet by the time he's 23, 24. And then you can chuck him out in every situation and use him, because Fife, they've got away from that.
Yeah, it's... I mean, Barry was there for a while, but obviously he was towards the end of his Elite League career. I went in for a season, and then it's kind of just the Brits that have just hopped in and out. And, maybe it's a young guy that comes from the Kestrels or whoever it is and just comes up for a season and then he disappears again. They need that, like you say, like that continuity of somebody who, they get them young, they develop them, they work with them, they give them a chance. And, that's the tough part about the Elite League, isn't it? Is teams willing to give the British guys a chance and then look in. But yeah, especially a club like that. I mean, all the youth development around Scotland. Yeah.
They need to go forwards with a key British player, don't you? And going through prospects, I know people are going to get annoyed at me saying this, but if they put the money on the table and said, Kieran Brown, come on up, well, they've got themselves a stud.
Many guys like that.
Yeah, there's plenty of guys that could make the step up, but it's got to be the right situation for them. Like, why would they leave a situation where they play power play, top 2 line minutes,
golf?
Yeah,
golf. That's the number one reason to sign for Fife is golf.
Yeah.
Like, if you're an avid golfer in the National League and you're a bit of a stick, then you could do a lot worse than going and having your first season in the Elite League in Fife. Obviously, you've been up there. How good's the golf? It's mad.
Unreal, mate. It's courses friggin' every corner you turn that are just absolutely beautiful. You got your pick everywhere. It's great.
The Fife situations, it is interesting because there's been a lot of kind of negativity around Scottish hockey. Obviously, you were part of the Clan situation last year. What was that like being on the inside of and being one of the veteran Brits? So you're going to be like, a lot of it's going to be on your kind of shoulders. They've then just handled it so badly that it's probably worked out great for you now that you're a GM, because you've seen how not to handle a shitty situation. What was it like being inside the locker room whilst all this was going on?
I won't lie, it was one of the toughest seasons that I've been a part of. Before the situation happened, we hadn't won a game anyway, so we're already in kind of a bad place, and morale was pretty low. And then that situation happened, and guys end up leaving the team. Some of us stayed, so players end up taking over as a coach. Like, everything that possibly could have happened to us, and to be like, it was demoralizing. Like, even before that, when you're losing games and you're just showing up to the rink, it's like, what are we doing here? Nothing's changing. Nothing's getting better. We're not making any moves to try and improve this situation. But like, full credit to all the players that obviously stuck.
Yeah.
Saw it out last year, and then Dice Dix and Sean Boutin taking over the coaching reins. Once they did that, we started going like this. And I think obviously the adversity that we went through brought the group closer together. And then our aim was to make the playoffs, which we did, and we ran Belfast right to the wire.
Actually,
we outplayed them in the home. Like, I remember I just spoke to Kiefer after the game. He was like, "Man," he's like, "You had me worried. Like, we weren't expecting that from you." And we took them right to the edge. So I was proud of the boys, and and the fans too. A lot of fans stuck with us too. We were still getting great crowds, even though, like, the team was bad. We were bad. We lost 17 games in a row. Like, it was miserable. Yeah, it was miserable. So it was tough to keep the boys together and keep everyone positive. But once we had the coaching change, things started going up.
The situation was that obviously they'd signed a convicted rapist and sex offender, however they want to dress it up. When you boys heard that, like, what's your fucking thoughts? What's the group chat saying? Like, literally type the guy's name into Google and the fucking first thing that comes up. Before you had to scroll past it to get to elite prospects, let me tell you. Like, how I don't understand how it ever happened.
Yeah, I mean, like we're obviously unaware. We have no idea what's happening in the background. So we find out when everyone else finds out, when the fans find out, when we see an announcement on Twitter and stuff. So obviously, my first thought as a player is we weren't consulted by the coach at the time. Like, he was thinking of bringing this guy in, look, this is his situation. What if somebody had a relative who had been affected by that, or you have a partner affected by that? There was no consideration towards the guys. And that was on the coach at the time. And obviously, he ended up losing his job. So, it was definitely a sticky one, and a situation that I don't think any of us kind of expected to be in at any point of our careers.
First time I've ever heard of it in the UK or in hockey in general.
Yeah. So we obviously we're not happy about it, and it was tough. It was really tough, but behind the scenes, it got handled. The team, everyone else behind the scenes looked after the situation and looked after us from that point on. I don't want to sit here and badmouth anybody in particular. Obviously, the coach ended up leaving. We weren't aware of.
He dug his heels in, eh?
Yeah.
I heard he was trying to get bought out of his contract because he was on a pretty decent deal from a very reliable source, let's put it that way. Was that annoying for the boys? It was obviously like he had to go after that, but it wasn't like the next day, was it? It was drawn out a little bit.
Yeah, it went on for a while. I mean, they don't, as players, you kind of stay away from that type of stuff, and the management side that were dealing with it wasn't our situation to deal with. It was their situation to deal with. So I don't know the reasons why it took as long as it did, but it got ugly. The fans were booing and chanting, and there's a lot of stuff online, and the team obviously needed to change, and once the change happened, then things started to turn around for us. But yeah, I mean, we just try to focus on our jobs and be hockey players at that point. It's like, right, we've got to win a game here. That's the most important thing.
Nice.
Beyond everything else that's happening, like, we just got to try and come to work here and try and win a game and get our season back on track. So
what was it like winning that after you've gone 17 straight? It's fucking brutal. You get that win. What was that like?
It was like we won the league, mate, honestly.
Yeah, I bet.
The atmosphere in the rink as well was absolutely unreal, and we're just buzzing. Everyone was absolutely buzzing. It was funny because it was against Manchester, so I was talking to Sully. He's like, also it was against us, so you had to win, but so that was good.
Yeah, the league itself, actually, they've just raised the import numbers up to, I believe it's 15. We were talking 5 minutes before we got on air. We were reminiscing about when you joined the Elite League, and it was 10 imports then. And then we talked about it going up to, once the time you've been in the league for 2-3 years, it went up 11 and then 12. And then we also get into the chat of how does a 20-year-old Craig Peacock, Ben O'Connor, fucking Dowdy, whoever it may be, how do they break into this league now with those 5 import slots extra compared to your time back in the Elite League days?
Yeah, it's a tough question, isn't it? It's probably the one that we've been trying to answer in British hockey for as long as anybody can remember, really. But yeah, I mean, when it was 10, I had to be good enough, and I spent that time in the EPL as well, and spent 2 years with Peterborough where I was playing, developing. The first year I did okay. The second year in Peterborough I did really well, and I was.
You had like 100 points, didn't you?
90 odd points, yeah.
Yeah, it's like.
Yeah, good. It was a good season.
Yeah.
But I progressed from those 2 years in Peterborough, right? I'd had one good year, and then I did even better the next year, and then I got my chance to go up and play with Belfast. But still, because it was 10 imports when I got there, I was on a line with 2 imports. I was on the second power play, but I prepared myself that I was ready to kind of make that jump. So I still think you need to be ready at the right time to go into the Elite League. But it helped, me and my generation that it was 10, because there were spots for you. And if you were good enough, you went in and you played. and then you improve quickly playing with players of that caliber. I remember my first year, we had guys that come straight out of the AHL. Like that was the type of player we were playing with. Now at 15, it's so hard to see. Like it's for the elite league teams, it's a business and they want to win, which I also understand. But for a British player, it's, where are they going to take that risk on you? Are they going to give you that time to develop and be ready to play? Are they going to throw you right in? Are you going to play 4 or 5 minutes a night? It's hard to see.
The thing that always annoyed me as a Brit, and you probably attest to this, you would have seen it over the years. I don't know, someone's willing to take a gamble on a guy out of a league that we're not too familiar with or whatever. His stats aren't that impressive. I'm like, I know a British kid that could do that job. Then they come over, right enough, they're fucking shit, and they're on the plane home after 6 weeks. They've spent all this money on ITC cards and, sorting all the paperwork side of things out, getting him skates and sticks and gloves. That money could have been invested in a 18, 19-year-old Brit. For what you paid there, you could have got him a fucking personal trainer and a coach in the off season to work with him for 4 or 5 months. And you probably still save a few quid.
I've seen some bad imports come over. I won't argue with on that. So yeah, I completely get what you're saying. And like, I don't want to sit here and obviously badmouth the elite league. It was good to me. I played in it for 14 years, but I got that chance at the start, right? The issue is how do we get the kids when they're 20 years old now? How do they get that same opportunity that me and my generation had? But yeah, there's been some bad imports come over, obviously, and it does make you wonder, like, well, how much are we paying to get them over when you've probably got a British guy? And like you say, I've seen British guys when I was in the EPL who could have stepped up to the elite league back in the time that they didn't. So yeah, it's a tough question, and
yeah, we've been trying to figure it out, mate, and we still are. You obviously moved up as a relatively young pup, but you had a decent year. Then obviously, imagine the second year you go back up to Peterborough, your money goes up a little bit. Some of the money in the EPL then wasn't too bad. You then go to Belfast, which is one of the richer organisations. I'm not going to ask you to give your salary out, but you probably did okay as a younger Brit. What do we do to bridge the gap to make Brits want to stick around financially? Because it's a real tough sell to try and get little Johnny, who's getting 250, 300 quid a week to play in the EPL, and 600-700 quid a week working on site, to be taking $1,000 a week home, to then go, do you know what? I'm going to fucking do all that. I'm going to sack all of that off, and I'm going to go up and sign for Glasgow Clan and get paid 250 quid a week and take a 750 quid a week pay cut, right? How do we get the finances? Because I'm not saying that these guys should be going straight into the elite league on 550, 700 quid a week. I'm not saying that. But there needs to be a better entry point than, say, 200-300 quid. There needs to be, like, you can live on it. And then a guaranteed wage progression. Okay, if you're going to be here for 2 years, we're going to give you 450 and then 550. Do you know, so you know that you're not going, do you know what? I could just go back to site and I could make 4 times as much money a month.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think if you'd had that sort of minimum wage that they know what they're getting at a particular age, if you come into league, hey, this is your minimum. If you stay next year, you're going to go up to X amount. And again, after that, like, what's the NHL 3-year entry level contract? You can have a 3-year and EIHL entry, for example, where it increases every year.
Right, I do.
The thing with that would be as well is you got to have the kids that want to do it, right? They want to be professional and they want to make it too. That's the other side of the coin. But if they're seeing, okay, I'm going to get this, if I'm going to work my ass off and I'm going to do really well because I want to be here next year to get that, and I want to be next year to get that, then they've got something that they're working towards, like you say, as opposed to coming in for probably a lot less money than they're going to make working their regular job and playing in the National League as well. So you need to give them that incentive, absolutely, because especially the way the world is, no one's going to want to take a massive pay cut to go and do something, are they? So yeah, there's got to be something to incentivize these kids. And then on the flip side of it, they got to want it as well. You got to want to be a professional hockey player and make that your job, and have ambitions of going further than the league and getting yourself into Europe, whatever it might be.
Was that something that ever come across your table during the elite league years? Ever get any offers to go to Europe?
I went to Denmark.
Oh, of course you did. Yeah, of course you did.
But I went for less money than I was making in Belfast. So I went for the opportunity. I was like, if I go do well in Denmark, maybe that leads on to something else. And I went over and I think I led the team in preseason in points, had like 12 points in 8 games. And then the season started and the coach just didn't want to use me. I don't know if it's because I was English or whatever, but he kind of stuck me on the third line and I wasn't playing very much. So spoke to him and asked him what was going on. He told me, things, just trying some new things, like it'll go back to the way it was. Nothing changed after a few more games. So I said, I'm out of here. And I gave Tom Kelman a call in Belfast and went back and won the league. So it wasn't a bad decision.
Not bad. What was, obviously you touched on leaving Peterborough to go to Belfast. What's it like rocking up there to play your first game in the it'd been the Odyssey then, I believe. What was that like? Because they're a passionate fan base. It's a cool as fuck city. It's a brilliant organisation.
Yeah, I played in Peterborough for the 2 years before that. So from Peterborough ice rink to like a 7,000 seater arena with the bright lights and the fans and everything else that's going on. And actually, I remember watching a highlights video of him my last season. I was playing in Peterborough and I was like, that looks cool. Like Belfast looks cool. And I said to my mum, I said, I'm going to play for that team one day. I'll play there. And then I ended up going there the next season. And that was like my ambition and my drive at that age, is that I wanted to do really well and get noticed and move into the elite league. But yeah, going from, playing in the EPL to, maybe in front of just over 1,000 or whatever it was back then. And, the biggest rink, whatever it was, to go into play in front of 5, 6, 7,000 and going to Sheffield and Nottingham and Belfast and all these arenas. A 20-year-old kid, like my eyes just freaking popped out my head.
Yeah, it's a bit different from Peterborough. Just driving into practice and you need 4 new tires for the potholes in the fucking car park. It's really like, honestly, mate. I said, Peaks, you'll know this as well. Obviously, I'd never been in the home change room as an away guy. Sometimes you've been as a kid and you've been in, but I've never been in the Peterborough home change room until I signed for Peterborough. I was like, fucking hell, this is all right. This is all right there. This is all right. Didn't get any of that as an away. In a way, you're getting pissed on by the shower, like drip. Yeah. One shower for 18 guys. It was a horrendous away locker room. But I really liked Peterborough when I was there, actually. It surprised me how much I enjoyed it because I thought I was going to hate it.
Yeah, it's one of those places, isn't it? When you come in as an away guy, you're like, oh, this is the worst. But when you're there, you're actually like, oh, well, it's not bad. Nice. Yeah, right. You get used to the rink. It's difficult for other teams. Yeah, it's one of those, isn't it?
Yes, no shit is difficult. You turn up for practice and the ice would be like this. So like, try to do PP, a little dish off, like a dish to the half wall, and it goes. Bounces off the ice over the plexi. But yeah, mate, sand everywhere. You have to get your skate sharpened 4 times a week when you play for Peterborough. You're just skating on concrete. But I love my time there. What do you make of Luke Ferrara taking a drop back and going back to Peterborough?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he could clearly still play at the elite league level. I think seeing his news recently that he's got engaged and he's got a baby and stuff on the way, he's obviously seeing that the family side's probably, he's got less commitments, doesn't he? If he plays for Peterborough, he's from Peterborough. So I'm excited to see him in that league. As a GM, I was a bit annoyed that he's dropped down and signed there because it's made Peterborough a little bit stronger. I wasn't expecting him to. I was expecting him to be in the elite league somewhere. So yeah, it's the same. Ross Venus has dropped down as well. So you've got these elite league boys that are dropping into the national league, and it's going to make it a strong division.
I'm just excited to see how the national. I'm disappointed Basingstoke's not there, but I'm excited to see how the national grows. Not just this year, but onwards. There's potential for this to keep going and gaining legs and potentially expanding and adding extra teams. Is that something as a GM you would welcome, like for the expansion of teams? Obviously, Basingstoke hopefully to be added back in. What the latest that I'm hearing today is they haven't even started doing anything to the fucking rink yet. So if they actually plan it, that could have been started when the season finished. April, the kids were done in May.
Yeah.
The longer these things go on, the less excited I am about whether that's going to be there. But hopefully Basingstoke's back. Would you be open to any further expansion in the league?
Absolutely, mate. I think you bring Basingstoke back, you're up to 12, and I think I've heard you boys talk about it before. And then you start bringing in more northern teams or even more Scottish teams. You look at your Edinburgh's, could there be one in Fife? Could there be one in Dundee or wherever? And then you've got a north-south conference.
Whitley Bay as well.
Whitley Bay. There's
Blackburn doing bits.
Yeah, there's plenty of options, and I think the fact that we've now joined the league, it maybe opens that door up in the future, in the next 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years, however long it's going to be, that there can be that progression for this league, and why not? Imagine you get it up to 8 teams in each conference, and you got a north-south conference, and you've got that level that's covering the whole of the UK, not just the south and the middle of England. You've got the north of England, the middle, the south, and you've got Scotland up there, that you're giving this platform for for all these British kids to aspire to and get to that level. And it's going to help bridge that gap towards the elite league as well. If you've got teams all over the UK playing at that level, as a GM, I'd love to see it just keep growing and growing.
Mark, what's your thoughts?
I'm really deep. I could do another video on this, but yeah, I think as well with Solway, they've done it right. You're not there to make up numbers. You're going to go there and fucking compete. And I think that should give inspiration to other clubs as well. That I know we speak about Streatham, but they're never going to happen. But I always believe that there's another club going, and I would love to see an addition in somewhere like Plymouth, strengthen the southwest area with another team, and then start doing divisions. I think that's the way forwards. And like you were saying, the more teams you've got scattered around, the more clubs, and it's just going to make the whole talent pool bigger going forwards for GB.
And what did Max say when they play in that League 3 in France? Because France is obviously fucking massive. Yeah. But there's 5 teams in this region and 6 teams in that region and 8 teams in that region and fucking 6. That's going to go up. These players will then go 2 and then into the Magnus, and you're going to get a wider pool to pick from, like Mark said. How do we know there's no good ice hockey players in Devon, Plymouth, Cornwall? Because we've never had a fucking ice rink down there. We could be sitting on, like an Ontario in Canada. You could be sitting on a big bunch of mutant inbred Cornwall motherfuckers at a Jacks and can skate 3,000 miles an hour, but we'll never know because we don't expand out of, we're going to build a new rink. Where we're going to build it? Oh, where we've already got a rink. Let's talk about building rinks outside and continuing to grow. Like, it's criminal there's only one ice rink in Northern Ireland. You've got Belfast.
Yeah. So
where's the other rink at? There's one rink in Wales. Where's the other rink at? Like, these are big populations that we could be tapping into, because not everyone's going to want to play rugby. Not everyone's going to want to play football or golf. Some people are going to want to play ice hockey, but you've got to give them that opportunity to be able to do so. And I'm not talking about a plastic rink at fucking Christmas and go out in a pair of death wellies. I'm talking about actually building ice rinks and investing in the sport and in the future.
Making it more accessible. That's the problem in the UK. We need it more accessible like in other countries. If we can make it more accessible, then look forward towards deals for kit because it's expensive, then that's a start, I believe, anyway.
Yeah, that's the main thing, right? It's got to be accessible for people to get it. But then again, it's the problem. We don't have many rinks in the UK. We literally don't. So you've got your areas, like you said, and that's it. So if a kid who lives 3 hours away, he's probably not going to take up ice hockey to do that travel to go and practice at 10:30 on a Thursday night when he's got school the next day or whatever it might be. So
I would love to see more facilities like the Ozone that Danny Myers has started. Hey, if we can't afford to be building full rinks everywhere, then get on board with these ideas. I think Mizey probably owns a patent and shit. Talk to him. Let's get some franchises. I know there's plenty of rich people in the UK that are involved in this game. That with help from UK Sport and the National Lottery funding and other things, hopefully Ice Hockey UK, EIHA, if they had the foresight to get involved and actually start building these facilities, they will. It might take 10 years for you to see a return, but those 10 years onwards, you're golden.
Yeah, that's it. We were talking off camera, weren't we? I mean, we could sit here all day and try and fix British hockey, and there's a million good ideas out there that we want to make happen, but it's how do we get them going?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Someone's got to start listening somewhere. Do you think the fact that the EIHA and the Ice Hockey UK, they didn't do the merger when the opportunity was there, and we are essentially 2 governing bodies running one sport within the country, leagues are not run by the same people? Do you think that that hurts us, especially when you look at Europe and some places like that. They go, what? So Ice Hockey UK do this and the OHA do that, and should it not all be one and one vision pulling together?
The simple answer from my point of view is yeah. Why why would it not be? Why do we have, like you say, two different governing bodies? I'm sure if you look at all the countries, successful hockey countries around the world, it's one, isn't it? You're going to obviously have little subdivisions within those, but if you've got one overall governing body, it's going to be probably what's best for UK hockey overall. You've got one goal, one aim at that point, rather than two different companies pulling in two different directions. So for me, simple answer is yeah, one would make sense.
Mark, yeah.
Yeah, all day. I also believe, like, you look at other countries that are doing well, a lot of them have affiliations. And I believe that that is what we need in the UK. How it's going to happen, I have no fucking idea, but that needs to happen.
You and everybody else.
Because you need that gap. You need to make that path towards the elite, and the gap is too big. And the affiliation will allow players to be picked, to be selected. I don't even know where to start with that.
Well, here's a question, Mr. GM. Have any elite league owners reached out to you yet to potentially talk to about sending guys to you or taking guys from you on a two-way? Is there any sort of interest? Or like, is the phone ringing? What's happening?
Yeah. I've spoke to a couple of clubs. I won't diverge.
No, that's cool.
But yeah, we spoke to a couple of elite league teams about sorting out two ways for a couple of our younger guys. So, I want them to have that relationship. I want them to have that opportunity where they can go and practice with the elite league team if they can. And then, if the elite league team's playing on a Wednesday night, yeah, they might not get ice time, but they get to go and experience what it's like at that next level or that professional game. Because essentially is, looking at me as a GM in Solway, if we've got a fantastic young talent, like, I don't want to hold him back. I want to develop him and make him ready for the elite league that he wants to go in there, and he can step in and do a job straight away. Like, that's how I see it going, and that's what we want to kind of achieve at Solway. So yeah, I've had conversations with a couple, so we'll have a couple of our boys on two-way deals.
Yeah, that's great news. And nice. If we can get every club in the country working together, and I think once we realize we're going to be better together than we are with all this fractured, like, I don't know what it is. A lot of it's pissing contest, like, it feels like. And whereas, like, let's swallow egos, let's actually get a game plan for progressing. Not only, right, are you going to progress your club if you have a bet? Let's say, I don't know, let's take two kids from Dumfries this year. They go up on a two-way this year and they might play 4 games, but they skate every day. And then next year they might go up on a two-way and they play 12 games and a couple of cup games. Maybe that team makes a semi-final. They get to go away in the cup semi-final. They get a bit more experience. Now they're 20, 21. And they can go full-time there, having skated full-time for 2 seasons, played national, got minutes, got PP, got PK, might have had a couple of tilts, just whatever it is. And then when they step back up and go and sign on that 3rd season as a fully fledged professional, they're fucking ready to go.
It makes sense, doesn't it? That's kind of the way to do it. You're preparing the guys, you're giving them a taste of it. They see what it's like. They get hungry to be like, okay, I want to be up there full time and doing this for a living, essentially. And yeah, I mean, the way you've just described it makes perfect sense, mate.
You got to be allowed to make mistakes, right? And this is the thing that always frustrated me. Guys, shut up. You see a British kid, and I don't know, maybe turns the puck over at the blue line, the other team go down and score, and he rides the pine for 6 games. And I'm like, his fucking import line mate has turned the puck over 47 times in 2 periods. Why is he still on the ice? Like, there needs to be, let these kids make mistakes. They're young. They're going to learn from the mistakes. Yeah, it might cost you a goal. Shit happens. Like, you let him 200 plus goals over a season. I'm sure a British kid being on the ice and turning the puck over for one of them is not going to ruin your season. Like, you said it before, it's a business. Yeah, but if your team is finishing, realistically, we know who's finishing 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. If you're one of those teams, yeah, you need to win the results, but it's not going to break the bank. It's not going to make that much difference. And you could end up with a Kieran Long. Like, you give someone an opportunity, you could end up with a Kieran Long who put 67 points up or whatever that year in Manchester, fucking led the league in power play goals. Like, you've got to take a gamble and you've got to help these kids progress.
Yeah, it's the teams that are willing to do it, isn't it? And I mean, I remember my first year. I made plenty of mistakes and turned the puck over and whatnot, and I got better because of it because I had to keep playing. So it was 10 imports. So it wasn't like they had a choice to kind of sit down
Yeah.
and play in two lines and sit all your bricks. So, but then I got better, right? I got better. I was playing with better players. I was learning from the mistakes that I was making in my first season, and I progressed my career on after that. So, yeah, you've got to have teams that are willing to give the guys a chance and
Go further, go faster, get fitter. Subscribe today. Hurricane e-bikes have a great range of bikes available on the e-bike subscription plans. The Cruiser e-bikes are perfect for beach rides, long distance rides, or just everyday use. The Fat Bike e-bikes look great and can cope with the toughest terrain, perfect for off-road adventures. The hybrids range are perfect for about town, everyday use and leisurely rides with the family. Take your ride to the next level with the mountain bike and get ready for your next power-assisted adventure.
yeah, you've got to have teams that are willing to give the guys a chance and understand that everyone makes mistakes. We're human, aren't we? It doesn't matter what you're doing in life, you're going to make a mistake, especially in sport. It's how games are won and lost are on mistakes. It's literally how the game is won or lost. So it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
What's been the major difference for you now that you're a GM as opposed to the rink? I jokingly said to you off the air, it's a bit different from just turning up and putting your fucking kit on and going out and have an escape for an hour and then maybe riding the bike for 20 minutes and going home and forgetting about it until tomorrow. What's the day-to-day like of a GM in the summer?
Yeah, mate, I've been on the phone more than I've ever been on it in my life. I have to charge it up a couple of times a day. I'm used to my day being over by about midday after I've skated in the gym. So yeah, I'm just on the phone, mate, talking to a lot of agents. Obviously, a big thing for us right now is sponsorship. We're trying to get on board our sponsors. So, meetings with sponsors, trying to figure out the roster with Spud and Jamie, watching video on imports, watching it on British kids, looking at our competition. I didn't have an appreciation for how much went on in the summer and in the off season until I started doing this job. And you think you've covered everything for the week, and then an owner will send me a message or Spud will send me a message and there's something new that we haven't thought about and we need to get on visas, things like that. We're going through that right now. So there's a million and one things, mate, which now I'm on this side of things. I completely appreciate everyone that's ever run a hockey team before because it's hard work. It's hard work.
There's so many things. Like I watched John Neville on a game night in Basingstoke stuff. I'm like, dude, you give yourself a fucking heart attack. Like he's driving down a couple of hours, getting there. He's early. He's doing the jerseys. He's making sure this is done. He's got the coach on this phone. He's got the rink manager over there. He's got the fucking supporters club there that he's got to talk to. He's got to pay the refs. He's got to do. I said he's got like 400 jobs in 5 hours. It's like I don't even understand how your brain's just computing all of that all of the time.
It's mental. I mean, obviously, once the season starts and we have the game night crew, we've got a really good group of volunteers who have run things up in Solway previously, and we went and met with them last week. We had a really good turnout. Obviously, we just wanted to introduce ourselves, and I think the owners said it on the day, like they've never run a game night. I've never run a game night because I'm busy playing, so I've never seen what goes on behind the scenes. So we're going to rely on volunteers, and they're kind of the lifeblood of British hockey. You need these people around your club, so. We got some fantastic people up in Solway, and we've obviously got some ideas that we want to implement, but we're going to be leaning on them a lot because they're the ones that have been doing this essentially previously to us. So,
Mark, have you had any help have you had any help or advice from other GMs within the UK? Like that have seen your move and thought, you know what, let's give you a shout, or if you need me for any advice, I'm here. Have you had anything like that?
Yeah. So I speak to Todd Kelman. I've been kind of bugging him with a few questions.
Not bad.
Me and Todd have got a great relationship, obviously from Belfast. So yeah, he was really pleased with me. Obviously Gareth at the Clan sent me a few messages, offered his help if I need anything there. There's another boy who used to work for the Clan, Sean Skelly. He's the GM of the basketball team in Glasgow now. So I went and met up with him my first week. So yeah, it's been a lot of people, but yeah, I send Killer the most random kind of messages at random points in the day with questions. So, but he's really keen to help me, and I know he spoke to the owners quite a bit as well. And Killer, he's one of the best people in British hockey.
Absolute beauty.
Love him to bits, and got a lot of time for him, and he's willing to help me. And he's probably one of the best, if not the best, at what he does. So,
do you know what I liked about him when I interviewed him? He is one humble motherfucker. Like, he's at arguably one of the biggest clubs in the league. He is who he is. We know what he's about. You know what he's won. And he's like, oh yeah, Dundee Stars. We were doing chuck up puck at the end of the first period, and then we went an away game up to Dundee. They were doing it at the end of the second. He's like, I'm into the owner. Why are you doing that? He said, it's an extra 45 minutes to sell chuck puck tickets. So he said, great, I'm gonna take that back to Cardiff. And he does that, and then, oh yeah, you guys should try this. And he's humble enough to go, yeah, that's a great idea. I'm gonna take that on board and bring that back to my club. And then that might come then down to Solway, and then because you speak to him. We need that relationship. Yo, this is a good idea. Not like, oh, this is a good idea, I'm going to keep it all to myself. Because our UK hockey, you know as well as I do, we're only as good as our worst clubs. We're only as good. The league's only as good as your worst clubs. If you've got two clubs down the bottom struggling to pay the guys, or struggling to put teams out because the guys haven't been paid and they don't want to go on the. We want all the clubs to have finances. We want all the clubs to have money so that these situations never happen. Because ultimately, what ends up happening in that scenario, and it hasn't happened for a few years, granted, but like we said off air, we've been here long enough to see the merry-go-round. I don't want to see fucking bucket collections and shit like that again for clubs, because in my career, I've seen it 10, 15 times with clubs. We're going to the tits here. And it's the fans that ultimately end up covering the cost. What I would like to see is GMs work together so that we are making finances for the clubs and ultimately going to have better products on the ice due to the fact that we've got better finances.
Yeah, 100%. It's just best practice, isn't it? And, we've spoke to, Steve Nell, Aaron Nell, spoke to the boys in Sheffield a little bit, and everyone's been welcoming and accommodating to us, and that does have that feel that we're going to help each other. And it's like you say, if I end up somehow coming up with some genius idea at Solway that I think works unbelievable, I would have no problem telling the other 10 teams in the league, right, this is what I'm doing, this is why it worked, or I tried this, it was shit, essentially, it didn't work, I won't give that a go. And like you say, if we're doing that and we're sharing that, you're not stealing business from anyone else. You're in different cities, you want everyone to be doing well. So yeah, I mean, everyone I've spoke to so far has been accommodating and welcoming, and seems keen to help us. And any problems or things that we're running into, being a new organization in this league, that everyone's really chipping in and helping us with no questions, really.
Right, let's go to the big one that everyone's been fucking bitching about. You can't come in, it's too far away. It's not that far away. Some of you guys have never been to Scotland. Like, I think when they hear Scotland, they think Dumfries is in fucking Aberdeen.
Yeah.
Right. Picture Carlisle, people. Add 10 miles and you're there. Right? It's really not that you're over the border, you're just there. Ultimately, travel's going to be worse for you guys because you have they have only got to come up to you 2-3 times. You've got to make these trips to everybody. How do you go about it? You're going to get full buses, you're going to get mini buses, and also what do you say to the fans that it's too far for them? But again, we talked a minute ago about let's progress our players across the entire country, not just the south of England and Sheffield.
Yeah, I mean, well, these guys in Solway, right? We've got half of our team. I'm sitting there looking at my little whiteboard with my names on it, and they're pretty much all from Dumfries, but they deserve to have a chance to play at this level just because they are in Scotland. Like you say, it's over the border, just over the border in England. Yeah. It's not by Inverness all the way up there. No, so, it's not. And the main thing, you hit the nail on the head. We've got the worst travel out of anyone, if you want to put it that way, because we're doing these trips every weekend. These teams, we're going to do double headers for clubs as well. So if I don't know who at the moment, we're going through that at the moment, but if teams want a double header, we're going to accommodate it. So essentially, it's one weekend for them that they come up. That's it.
And would that be the same for you? Would you try and maybe hit Bristol and Swindon in a weekend, and then I don't know, Telford and Peterborough, and then Sheffield and Leeds? Would that be better for you guys as well going forward?
Yeah, for sure. We're going to try and do some that way as well. Obviously, from the business side of things, it's you want to try and get a home gate every week if you can. But I'm so conscious that some of these boys haven't done that type of travel before, so we need to make it easy on them as well. I've sat down with the owners. We've talked about flying, and we looked at the price. As soon as the fixtures come out, I'm going to go through it. I'll price it up because it might be cheaper to get a £30 return flight or £40 return flight if you book it early enough, and then you just send the gear down on a bus, and it probably work out cheaper than hiring a coach for the weekend. But
definitely, yeah.
we'll look at all the options. We want to make it as easy as possible for the boys. But yeah, I mean, for everyone else, like, it's exciting. You get to come to Scotland for a weekend. It's an away trip that you've never done before. Scotland.
We'll be there, Mark.
Yeah, definitely.
We're definitely going to come and check it
I
out.
want to ask. I want to ask, from a fan's point of view, then, for the other teams in the league's fans coming to Dumfries. I mean, how accessible is it with hotels and stuff like that?
Yeah, there's quite a few hotels in the city. So I actually had a meeting with one of the hotels last week or the week before. Weeks are all blurring into one right now. So we're working on getting a hotel partner on board. When away fans come up, we give them a discount code that they can use on the website. They get favourable rates. It's 2 minutes away from the train station, 10-minute walk to the rink from the hotel. So you're in the city centre. You can hit the pubs along the way, get yourself to the rink. If you want to take a train in, take a train in. They've got a big car park. So we're already
pints in Dumfries as well. It's none of these London prices up there. You can actually probably get two or three pints for your money.
Yeah, so we want to make it accessible for the fans. So we're working on that right now. Like I say, I've already had a really good meeting with one hotel that hopefully, we'll get that sorted out, and we'll hopefully get the teams in there on a favourable rate as well, and then the fans get their discount code, and it's a weekend away. Like,
great business for the hotels.
Yeah,
if they're smart. Like, I've tried to do this before with charity games and bits and pieces. Some get selfish. And I'm like, good job for you. You just lost 45 rooms because you were a greedy prick. And you could have just said, yeah, I'll do it. And they're like arguing over like a £5 or a £10 a room or whatever it is. I was like, I'm going to give you 50 rooms. Just like hook us up. And whatever hotel's smart in the city, they will do that. And this is year one. If they could, and this is the ultimate thing for you guys. This is year one. If you can build these foundational relationships from the get-go, think of the relationship. Maybe in 3 years, that hotel turn around and go, do you know what? We want to be title sponsor. Because you don't know. You got to make these relationships now for something a little bit later on along the road where you're going to be able to capitalize on those relationships as a club.
Yeah, and that's what we want to do. We want to work with all the local businesses as well, because it is like Solway, they have that community feel, that family feel about the club, the area, the city. It all has that feel about it. So if we can keep it as local as possible and get local hotel chains in, because they're going to get lots of business from us when we have a double-header weekend and teams come up and stay. And even if a team's coming up for a one-off game, you're probably going to get a bunch of fans coming up because it's a unique trip that they don't get to do other points during the season. So the local restaurants, they're going to have more people in them. It all ties in, like you say. And if we can keep building on that, when you get to year 2, 3, 4, everyone's going to be wanting to jump in on the pile, and you start creating a monster at that point, don't you?
Well, that's exactly what we want. We want more hockey markets in the UK that are run properly and doing the right things and building the right relationships. What I wanted to ask you, Mark's following up from Mark's question, really, from a fan's point of view again, what are you going to do to improve the match night performance? Off ice sort of stuff. You turn up to the rink and you've got X going, you've got Y going. What's going to be your match night experience? That's the word I was looking for. Because sometimes that does get lost a little bit in that National League, and that's where I say the Elite League, they do. You come in, obviously they've all got big screens on the arena. It's easy to pump the crowd up. There's bits and pieces. There's mascots and there's everything going on. Cheerleaders maybe in some facilities, not so much in the National League. What would be your way of trying to give fans more of a match night experience other than just the hockey?
I don't know how much I'm allowed to say right now from...
Oh, okay. I don't want to get you in trouble.
Fair enough.
But we've got some some of the things that you just said about that happen in, some of the bigger places. We want to do that in Dumfries. The owners have got the vision to do that. When they were, it's no secret, they're obviously trying to buy the clan. So one of the things they did when they were going through that process was they visited every away rink in the Elite League and went and saw what they did well, what didn't work, what does work, and for the fans, not just for the players, for the match night experience. So they've gathered this together and collected it, and they've seen what works well at that level. So they've already come in, with quite a few ideas about making that match night experience a lot better. We've got, I just don't think I can say too much right now, because I don't know if I'm allowed to
get you in trouble.
Yeah, I don't want to give anything away that we haven't kind of announced, but we are. That's what the main thing for me was. I want it to be like you come and enjoy it as a night out. Like obviously you want the team to win. I want the team to win, but if they lose, it's like, well, you know what? I still had a great time. This happened. The music was really good. Like the blackout, the atmosphere, the in-period entertainment. We're going to make sure there's more areas to get beer than opposed to just one bar at a time. That's probably one thing I can.
Yes. Nice.
More beer essentially when they try and get some stands down like around.
Makes a big difference.
Yeah. So you're not queuing up for 20 minutes and you miss the first 5 minutes of the next period.
Happened to me in Bandy in Manchester last year. We went down at the end of the first period with 3 minutes to go, and we missed 7 minutes of the fucking second period.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously we're getting our tickets for free and shit, but if I'm paying £25 for a ticket to go watch an Elite League game, we stood in the bar for 27 minutes to get a pint. Right? It's no different at your level.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that we've thought about because they've only really got the bar upstairs in Dumfries at the moment. So, okay, right, how do we make that better for fans? Do we put in a coffee station as well? So it's not all the same people going up to the same bar for something. So you got different areas. So exactly that reason. So people aren't going up to the bar and missing half the next period because they're still waiting to get the pint. So we're thinking about all those kind of little small details that, you know, a fan's going to walk through the door seamlessly. They'll get to their seat. They'll enjoy the game, entertainment. You want to get a drink, that's fine. You've got your drink to come back by the time the next period starts. You want the whole thing to kind of be smooth and, you know, enjoyable for everyone, essentially.
I was just kind of something you said there triggered a memory. So obviously you're talking about like match night experience and stuff like that. So traditionally for years, if I was ever like say going to watch a Basingstoke game and the rink was still in decent condition, I didn't have a game, I'd probably go down, not necessarily to watch warm up, but I'd be there kind of 5:20, 5:30 for a 6:30 face off. You catch up with a couple of ex-boys or whatever, you have a couple of beers. The way the rink is now, I turn up at 6 minutes 29 for a 6:30 face off. I am not interested in anything else that's going on because there is none of that. It's all gone away. Because obviously the state of the rink, the club weren't going to start chucking loads of money out. But back in the day, mate, you go down an hour early, a couple of hours early, you'd have a beer. There was something going on over there for the kids. You could chuck the kids over there. They were doing that. You know, all the ex-guys, alumni. That's something I think that... Actually, let's talk about that as well. Like the alumni, is that something you want to have involved with the club? Because that's something I always feel they miss. Obviously, Basingstoke treated me very well. Swindon, where if I ever went there, I still get treated very well. But I always used to love, like, I come up and I'd be like, oh, a couple of old Bison boys, or oh, that guy used to play for Guildford Flames, and you're a young kid and you're walking around that. Being around the alum was great.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, that's something we've kind of spoke about, and Jamie does a great job with the alumni stuff for the game that he runs up there. But you kind of touched on it, like the way we're seeing it is, I want people in there an hour before the game. We'll have the bar open. We're going to have things going on. Maybe we have some ex-players in there doing a little meet and greet with the fans, whatever it might be. Maybe it's an injured guy who's not playing that night, or a healthy scratch if we have that many guys. I don't know what it'll be, but we want you there an hour before and building up that atmosphere. Go to the bar, have a drink, talking to players, to ex-players, whatever it is. That they're all things that we've spoke about. These ideas have been flying around, and that's what we want to kind of create in Dumfries. Is that, like you say, don't get there a minute before the face-off. You get there an hour early because you're buzzing and you want to go chat to, you know, whoever played 20 years ago. And the other thing for us is the 25th year of senior hockey in Dumfries this year as well. So, you know, that's something that we can play on as well.
Yeah, that's a nice touch.
Yeah, so there's lots to be done.
No, carry on.
No, I was just going to say, I love all the "you're going to need a bigger boat" shit that's flying around on on Twitter and that. You saying about healthy scratches, a few boys are probably sweating right now. They're like, what? I thought it was guaranteed minutes. What the fuck are you talking about, healthy scratches? Guys are sweating it out watching the YouTube. But jokes aside, roster size, what is a kind of ideal roster size for you going in? And something, I mean, I'm probably just going to steal a question because it's probably triggered a thought in Mark's memory. How much have you had to deal with this age restriction thing? So roster size and age restriction. How are you guys getting around like these sort of rules and stipulations that have been brought in this year?
No, I have to write them down and remind myself about them all.
I still don't know what they are. But still ain't got a clue.
We've actually been quite lucky. Like I'm looking at my roster right now, and we're pretty much there or thereabouts with it. So we want to run a full roster essentially. Like if we can have 4 lines dressed, we're going to have 4 lines dressed and our 2 goalies. You know, Martin's a coach at the end of the day. How he's going to run that, he's going to run that. I'm not going to have any influence on him in terms of coaching. I've got no experience in coaching. That's up to him what he does. I'm obviously just assisting him and helping put the team together at the moment. Yeah, it is challenging. I think the way I kind of understand it is it's more on the overage players. Obviously, if you want to dress a full roster, then it's 2 under 18s, 2 under 21s, and Martin assures me that he's got it under control because obviously
let him take that one. Yeah.
He knows a lot of these Scottish kids a lot better than I do. Obviously, I've actually skated with quite a few of them, so I would go and skate in Dumfries in the summers because that was the closest place for me to get ice before I was going back to the Clan or Fife or wherever I was playing. So I've actually been on the ice with a lot of them. There's a lot of talent there, man.
Yeah.
He's an unbelievable coach. They've got a really good junior system there. There's a lot of good kids coming through, and they, I think given the chance this year, they're gonna take people by surprise. We ain't coming and just going to be dwelling around the bottom. We're going to have a team that's pushing.
Definitely going to be competitive. I'm looking forward to it. Mark, sorry, mate.
When you were announced as joining the national, we noticed how all the other teams in the league had suddenly started announcing Scottish lads.
It was fucking brilliant. I think that week Hull signed. Who did Hull announce? Danskins that day.
Yeah.
Bristol announced Reese that day. Like it was like, okay, well played, boys.
What I wanted to ask was going obviously with the step up with Solway going from the 1 to the national. I know like that's attractive in terms of a better league, but for guys that maybe are within the roster that couldn't commit to travel, how has it been recruiting wise?
Honestly, it's been fine, and the thing is, it's a bigger commitment, isn't it, for these guys? Because we're going to play every Saturday and Sunday. There might be a 3-3. I know there was a couple 3-3s in the National League last year, so there's potential that happens as well. And the one thing me and Martin talked to them about is you got to be all in. We understand, obviously, you have jobs and you have other commitments, but we're here to run this as a professional organisation. The owners are here to run this as a professional organisation. We're in this to do well. We're not here just to, we're in the National League now, that's fine. Like, I'll miss a practice or I can't play a game type thing. And maybe there's a situation where, it does come up and it's unavoidable. But so far, everyone, local that we've spoke to, they're all in. They're all in. They're like, that's fine. As soon as fixtures come out, I'll talk to my work. It's not a problem. Hopefully, obviously, we don't have too many midweek fixtures where it's going to affect them too much. But they're all in and they're all buzzing. They're all excited. So in terms of recruitment, I think it's obviously tough because there's going to be some guys that miss out that were on that team last year that aren't going to get to play, but maybe we have them in the wider squad and they get to practice with us this year and push for a roster spot. And if we get injuries or something, then maybe they step up there. The longer term vision is hopefully we have something else in place for players in Solway, so it's not just the jump from the juniors to the national. Maybe there's a step in the SNL or an IHL 1 again, whatever it might be, but bring that back for those guys who can't play in the National League or haven't made the National League or don't have the time to commit to it.
Very similar to what Haringey have proposed to do. They're going to step up from the National 2 next year to National 1, but they're then going to re-enter a team into the National 2, which I think is good business. It's smart business because we all know there's probably 12 guys on that National 2 roster that ain't going to go up with them to the National 1. But they've been there for 5 years. You shouldn't just fuck these guys off. I completely get it. And they've done a smart thing in saying, we are going to step up, but we're going to introduce this. You guys can go there, and then we'll take your best players up to us, and we'll send some of our guys down to you. Brilliant pathway. If you guys could get something like that, whether it's a National 1 or whether it's Scottish National League, you'll be able to create these pathways that Mark talks about and these affiliations, which is huge.
Yeah, and they're conversations that we've already had and planning and thinking about after year 1. So they're, because I was aware of that. There's going to be guys who are going to be disappointed that we haven't asked them to play or whatever it's going to be. But we also have to be realistic that we're going to have to add some pieces into this if we want to be competitive. So I'm looking at it now. Martin's done a great job. he's done a great job. We've got some signings coming out hopefully in the next couple of weeks. We've got more pen to paper, but yeah, they'll start coming out, and yeah, it's a good team, mate. I'm excited to see him play.
You look genuinely excited. I want to know what's on that list there. How's the recruitment been going import wise? Because obviously Gapper was there, but other than that, it's not really something that Martin's had to do in his career at Solway, is recruit imports. This is new to him. You've got to recruit 3 guys. As the phone been ringing off the hook with agents? How are you guys working it? Are you back and forth with each other?
Yeah, so we spend a lot of time kind of sending video back and forth, and that was quite the funny thing when I started this job. All of a sudden, I get all these agents add me on Facebook and WhatsApp, and just start sending me players, and some are great, some aren't so great, and it's quite funny seeing what's out there and seeing it all from the other side. So daily, I'm getting agents sending me players, and the one thing that was important for both Martin and I is we obviously want good people first. So we're doing a lot of homework on them, trying to get references. I'm lucky enough that I've played with a lot of players, so I can usually find some sort of connection where
He's played with this guy over there, and
yeah, I can find a connection somewhere. And the same with Martin, he's connected frigging all over the hockey world. He knows people absolutely everywhere. So when we get players sent to us, obviously we'll try and watch some video, check out their stats, see what they're all about, and then we'll get references and see what type of person they are first, what type of teammate they are, what type of guy they are, because that's the most important thing. So we haven't rushed into it. We're probably down to our short list now, which is probably still a long list because we've got a lot of options.
You had any outrageous ones, like, I don't know, the agent sending you a guy from like the SHL saying he wants fucking 2 bags a week or what?
No. Outrageous the opposite way, maybe, not outrageous for SHL level. But yeah, no, it's good. It's interesting, man. Like I spent an hour today watching video on an import, and I've got a meeting with him over Zoom tonight, and I'm gonna sit down and talk with him. Martin's on the meeting as well, because we want to see him. We want to speak to him. We want to get a feel for him. What type of guy are you? Like, are you going to fit in with what we're trying to do here? Because I don't want someone coming in who's essentially going to be an asshole.
Yeah.
I don't.
Are you going North American route? Are you going more European with the recruitment, with the imports?
I'll tell you that, can I?
Yeah, this is the place to tell you. If you want to get your fans excited.
We're looking at all options. I mean, we're not limited. I've had players come across my desk that are European. I've had players, Canadians, Americans, come across my desk as well. So, again, it just kind of goes back to the right person, mate. As long as we get the right person, and then if their hockey ability and references follow all that up, then we'll be happy to take them. But we didn't want to rush into it, because the one thing we noticed that there's going to be more become available across the summer as well. There's going to be
training camps start and guys start getting cut. And...
Yeah. I mean, we don't want to leave it that late, but you're going to get your guys who are hanging on, maybe trying to play in a different league. Maybe they've played at a higher level before to see if they're going to get a deal there. But there's lots of options, and yeah, that's kind of pretty much mostly what we've got left to get sorted out. But yeah, we're at our shortlist stage right now, and we'll have some news for fans soon.
With the CVs that are coming across your desk from North America, what sort of leagues are these players coming from? Are we looking at similar to like Colby Tower and Gail Lubelli, where they're coming from U Sports, or are you looking more like Zach Brooks up in Leeds, who had a cup of coffee in the coast and he's done other things? Who else came from the coast? Mark went to Belfast. Come on, help me out. Cooper, yeah. So try to get like a judge of what sort of level CVs are actually coming across the table.
Yeah, so we get U Sports, NCAA 3. I've had a couple of Division 1 NCAAs come across my table as well. SPHL guys who are kind of on the bubble SPHL. Some guys who have had a couple of full seasons in the coast as well.
Yeah.
And then obviously you get your European leagues as well, your France's, Italy, all sorts, mate. But yeah, North American, it's a lot of U Sports, the college levels, SPHL, ECHL. That's kind of what's coming over at the moment.
Because they're still like 23, 24, 25. If they're coming out of school, they've been on the ice every day for the last 4 years. They've been in the gym every day for the last fucking 4 years. So they're coming from good stock. And even though it's not professional at college, you're treated as a professional.
Yeah.
You're expected to perform as a professional, and everything that you do around the system is geared for you to be a good guy. And when it comes down to like, you don't want an asshole, well, if you've been in one of those systems, you don't survive if you're a dick.
No, I mean, look at Guildford. They take boys out of youth sports all the time, turn out really well. Even at Glasgow last year, Gary Hayden, he came out of youth sports, ended up being our top goal scorer. So
there you go.
There's some absolute gems because they've all played major junior, right, before they go there. They've played at a high level. They're good players, man. They're really good players. And they're smart because they go and get their education before they jump into the pros.
And then they're really smart. They go and have a paid vacation over in the UK for a couple of years and get whack some pucks around and whack some balls around. I know all the boys that I talked to that have come over, they've loved their golf and all these other angles. What's right? Obviously, that's a strong selling point to the North American brigade. What would be your strong selling point to try? I don't know. Let's get a kid out. Let's say Oberliga, a German import. What would be your welcome to Scotland spiel?
Find out how to say golf in German first, and then
It's a good starting point.
I mean, the good thing for us Dumfries, I guess, is you're only just over an hour up the road to Glasgow if you want to go there. You're just over an hour to Edinburgh, a little bit further to Newcastle, maybe an hour and a half, something like that. But you're close to kind of major cities. So the one thing imports want to do, right, when they come to the UK is travel a bit and see a bit. And if they love golf, obviously come to Scotland. You can go anywhere better. But yeah, we want them to come and enjoy their time as well. I don't want them to come and just, sit in their apartment all day and wait for practice. Like, if you want to go out and do something, go out and do something. Go traveling a bit. Go take a day trip somewhere. So that's what I've been kind of talking to the imports about as well, is like, it's the lifestyle experience as well. And especially for these North American guys that have been playing in Europe, they might have been playing in France or Germany or wherever it is. It's like, well, you sit there. I did it when I went to Denmark. Like, they can all talk English, but when they start talking to each other, you just sit there and you're like, I don't know what you're saying.
I guess I'll get my phone out and play a little game here while you boys are chatting away.
Yeah, so it's an easier transition for them, isn't it? They're coming to an English-speaking country, so, and the Scottish people are pretty funny. They'll have a blast.
Oh yeah, they'll have a great time. What have you had? What's like the random questions you've been asked by players maybe about Scotland, of what they've heard? Deep fried Mars bars and all the cliches. What have you had any funny ones from any players?
Nah, nothing about that, mate. Nothing yet. I'm sure it'll come. Sure, nothing wrong with a deep fried Mars bar though. They ain't that bad.
Believe it or not, mate, I've still never had one.
Really?
Never. Deep fried fucking pizza, on the other hand, I've murdered a few. I've murdered a few of them up the road. But yeah, like that's another angle. Obviously, we had Big Roop on, and he's doing his thing with the EIHA, with the England juniors, and with like independent juniors, as well as the Guildford Flames. Is this an angle that perhaps you boys you're looking at? Yeah, like in getting in fitness trainers and physios and other things. Obviously, you talked about it being professional. That is going to be that next step to help bringing it into being a professional organisation.
Yeah. We've got a physio. She's been with the team for a little while, so she's keen on coming back. And
brilliant.
I've already been talking to kind of local gyms in the area, and gyms have even reached out to me saying, we want to come and work for your team. Like, can we come in and do some pre-season testing with you?
Brilliant.
And then even follow that up with monthly testing to see how the boys are doing and keeping up. So yeah, that's what we want to do. And I think that's why the owners were keen to kind of bring me in as well, was for the hockey side of things. Because obviously I've been around and kind of seen it all, and they want to run it professional. And everything I say to them so far, they don't say no, they just say yes. They want it to be as professional as possible. Like, I want to make sure that, when we're traveling, that the boys have good meals on the bus going down and a good meal post game. They're not having to go into their own pocket to buy McDonald's on the way down to a game or whatever it is.
Especially at that level, some guys only being on maybe 50, 75, 100 quid a week. Right, you're going down to Swindon and Bristol today. I'm fucking 40 quid by the time you lost schnapps and stopped at the services and fucking a couple of quid in the puggy, bought a Costa. You're like, oh, there's my week's wages gone. And then you got to do it again tomorrow because you got another roadie. Like, I'm a massive advocate of that. Like, I know when Bandy played in New Zealand, like, the travel was pretty shit and no one was really getting paid, but you got there, the hotel was done, your skates were sorted, your food was done. These little things, I think, are what a player appreciates.
Yeah.
But I would love to be able to just turn up, chuck my kit on the bus. There's your chicken pasta, there's a sandwich and a fucking, I don't know, a Powerade or whatever it is, whatever kids are drinking now. But it's done. That saved me 10, 15 quid. And it also saved me time because we're working and then doing this excessive travel. You might have just saved me 45 minutes. That's 45 minutes I can spend with my boy in the morning, or my girl, whoever it is, go out, spend some family time in the morning before I get on the bus, because I don't have to worry. I'm not going, I've got to make my fucking pre-game. Oh, I've got to do this. And then you're grumpy because you haven't made your pre-game, and you get on the bus. And, if you can take some of these things out, it essentially does make it professional, mate.
Yeah, and that's like I say, so far everything I've kind of put forward to the owners, they don't say no. And it's exactly like you say, if I can make the players' lives as easy as possible, and if we want to run it as a professional organization, then I'm going to do little things like that for them and take away. The other thing is it leads back to performance, right? It takes away all the excuses. If all you have to do is show up to the rink and play hockey and you don't have to worry about anything else, then you're going to perform there. You're not going to be mad that I've had to spend my own money on the bus and I've had to buy McDonald's and whatever. That's just obviously one example that I'm using.
Great example though, mate. That sounds like my career in the EPL 101 written right down. That is it.
If I can take little things like that, because when you have all these little niggling excuses or moans or complaints, then that creeps into the locker room. It'll creep into the guy they're sitting next to, creeps onto the ice. It does. I've seen it happen throughout my career when things aren't smooth off the ice. So if I can make their life as easy as possible, just come up, got no worries, play hockey, do your job, we'll try and win a game, and then you get out there. That's it. That's all they need to worry about. They don't need to worry about anything else. And that's the plan. And so far we're working right towards that.
How important have Dumfries ice rink been? Obviously, we've seen how good they've been for the national team. We've had women's competitions there. We've had junior competitions there. We have England-Scotland games there, camps there. They seem to be one of the most accessible countries, ice rinks in the country for sport in general. Obviously, Spud was telling us about figure skating champions, and Jamie was telling us other stuff. Are they like right behind you guys and what you're doing? Are they super supportive? And
100%, mate. They're absolutely fantastic. Everybody who works in there, so nice. Can't do enough for us. The minute you walk in, they're bringing you a cup of coffee like that. Like couldn't do enough for you. But in terms of like looking after us as a team in general, yeah, like they're letting us kind of come in and do what we want to do. I don't think, the owners won't mind me saying it. So we're going to build hospitality in Dumfries as well.
Idea.
Nice.
When you come up and you've got the cafe area that overlooks the rink, we're going to knock through there and basically build above the toilet blocks, and that's
like a mezzanine floor, and then build above it.
Yeah, so we're going to build right on top of their hospitality area that looks out over to the rink. So the council are fine for us, the rink's fine for us to do that, and they're fully on board and supporting that. And we've got some other plans what we want to do around the rink as well, which I won't say because I don't think I'm meant to say right now. But again, there's no issues. Like we're running into no issues. They couldn't do enough to help us, if that makes sense. Like they want to help. They want to see it succeed. So all the ideas that we have, they're working right alongside us to make sure that they happen and we follow through with them.
I suppose it's good for their business if you boys can put a good product on the ice, which means more fans coming in, which means more people buying pints and all these other different things. And ultimately as well, they go, oh, I'm gonna come watch a game. Oh, I might come back and go skating. I might take the boy and the girl, and I might come with 5 of my mates from college or whatever it is. It's like the rink will get residuals from the back of that, and hopefully, what we want to see as ex-players is you get residuals coming into the junior club. And you come to watch a Sharks game, you then go skating, you then join the hockey basics, and before you know it, you're an under 12 or whatever, and you're in the system, and you're another number that potentially later on down the road we could pick you up from. So with that being said, are you got any sort of relationship with the junior club? I know like Ross is coaching, they've got other guys coaching from the team. As a new organization, new ownership, are you guys going to have any sort of connection with the junior club directly, or?
Yeah, I mean, we want to build on that. I think for us, it'll be leaning on Martin and Jamie, because obviously they've been there for so long and they've built up that relationship that we want to just continue essentially what they had, because they had that pathway in Solway. So it's not like we don't want to come in and be kind of a separate entity from them. Like we want to be involved. It's like you say. Like I remember when I was a kid in Peterborough, and it was the Pirates back then. I used to love going.
Oh,
yeah.
And then you play the juniors, and then you work your way through, and then all of a sudden you're playing in the senior team, and it's a dream come true playing for your hometown club. Like you'd always see all juniors running around the rink. Everyone was there. You go and watch it. Like that's what you aspire to be, didn't you? So we want to make sure that we still have that relationship because it's important, isn't it? It's important for the future of British hockey. So,
and we kind of get a bit guilty of getting away from that in the elite league. Now, I get we have to have a professionalism, and we just saw Cullen leave Belfast. That poor fucker got stalked within an inch of his life last year at Belfast. We don't want it being like that. But what we do want is it being like what you said. Yo, little Johnny's here, Bobby's here, everyone's here. They're watching Randy Smith and Doug McEwen skating around, fucking pulling pants down and getting 8 points a night. If you're one of them little kids that's there, little Timmy, little Johnny, whoever it is, you're watching that and you want to be him. You want to play for that team. Yeah. And if you can keep that, I think the Elite League lose that.
Yeah. And it's hard, isn't it, when you got your big arena teams and it's separate. The thing for us is going to be, it's all the same building, isn't it? We're in the same facility that the kids use. So yeah, we want to keep that relationship. It's important. It needs to be there.
Mark, what happened to your audio? You got it back?
Yeah, it's back.
Okay, cool. I just saw your message. I didn't know if you were if you could hear us or not. Mark, have you got anything else for Peaks?
Oh, there was one, and my audio cut off. Fuck, let me try and think. Yeah, just talk about someone else before it comes back.
It'll come back. All right, let's go to it. So obviously, when you're doing these,
I've got it. Right, so. Obviously, we're going into the national, wanting to drum up interest into the area. For the fans in Dumfries, do you have anything like a summer skate or something like that in which fans can come and see the new team going into the new year?
We've talked about having an open training session once the season kind of gets underway. The ice is obviously up in Dumfries right now, and they take it out for a while. So once the season starts, we've had a few ideas about what we want to do in terms of getting the fans excited, whether it's we bring them down to an open training session, we have a meet the players type event once everyone's in. There's everything in the pipeline that, once we get to late August, start of September, when things start kicking off, that, we're going to be try and be seen everywhere and accessible to the fans.
I have a fucking epic follow-up question for this. How much are you going to charge these people to come in and watch a summer skate?
A summer skate?
Yeah, how much? Zero, right?
Yeah.
Right, so if you're an ice rink, and I'm not going to call you out, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt until next week, and if you haven't changed it, I'm going to fucking call you out. If you are charging £2.50 to come and watch a summer skate at a National League ice rink in this country, charging players' mums and dads who play in the National League to come in and watch them have a fucking summer skate, we will be calling you out and we'll be plastering it all over social media. Like, sort your shit out. It's not good enough. Have you ever heard of that, Peaks? Have you ever heard of that before?
It's been happening.
What is that? Charging fucking mums and dads. So if you're 16, going to go and get your first skate with a National League in the summer, come out with the boys, your mum and dad have to pay £2.50 to get and watch it. Like, no, sorry.
Oh. No, I've not heard that. I thought you were joking when you said.
No, I genuinely wasn't joking, mate. Like, I wish I was. So we give you guys a benefit of the doubt because we like you as a club. So, and I imagine it's probably not the club; it's the rink. But still, that is bad press. That is bad press. Like, that is terrible practice. Don't do that. Like, invite these people in to come and watch the summer skate. The boys would love it. Imagine going to summer skate Peaks. There's like 200 fans in the crowd. That'd be sick.
That's great. Love that.
Make you battle a little bit harder, wouldn't it, in June when you can't really be asked to back check. Yeah. If that little 15, 16-year-old lad just toe drags you, I'm going to back check a little bit now because there's 200 people watching. If not, you're just going to take a nice loop into the corner and get back waiting for a breakaway pass again.
100%, mate. 100%.
I love it. Mark, I don't have anything else for Peaks. I've loved this interview. I hope all you Solway fans and anyone else that's listening have enjoyed it as well. I hope any owners, we know some of the owners and teams, we know you guys are watching it along. I hope there's some stuff that you can take away from what Peak said, and I hope there's some stuff that you can tell him, and we can continue to grow this game, progress it, and I wish you nothing but the best in Solway, mate.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, boys. Thanks for having me on. It's been fun.
Mate, it's been great fun. We'll
Loved
catch
it.
up with you throughout the year. Guys and girls, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Make sure you like these videos, share it on all your platforms, and we will see you again soon for another episode. Peace.
Peace.